Omega Riley. I have him on tonight to read some questions to me. Do you happen to have any for me?
Sure do. Got one from Gabe. Says, do you think it's possible to move someone away from a far-right mindset?
Do I think it's possible to move somebody away from a far-right mindset? That's an interesting question. There's extremism. All right, I'm going to try to be kind of middle of the road on this and say there's extremism on both sides, left wing and right wing. And that's just factual. There is, right? There are extremists on each side. How do you deprogram an extremist? It's really, really complicated. It's not like a sit down with them for an hour and they're no longer extremists kind of thing. It's like an ongoing, long, drawn-out process of talking them through it and taking them through logical steps. It is possible, but honestly, I've given up on a lot of people, unfortunately. However, you have to go into every situation assuming that you're going to be able to deprogram them. It's basically like, I don't think that we should be punishing people in our criminal justice system. I think we should be working on rehabilitating them and protecting society from them, rehabilitating them, reintroducing them into society. Of course, there are some people that are just lost causes. Like, there are some people who are just monsters and will never be rehabilitated. But we have to go into those situations as though they can be rehabilitated. You know, it's the same with dealing with extremists. There are some people out there who will never come to their senses. My mother will probably never come to her senses. But we have to enter these situations as though everybody might.
Got one from the doctor. He says to ask you if you'd rather have every single Pokemon game ever or every single Zelda game ever.
That's a tough question. I have a lot of each. I have every Pokemon game from Game Boy to Game Boy Advance, including the spin-off titles. And I have almost every Zelda game from NES to N64. And I have some GameCube ones too. I don't have the CDI ones. I don't know. Price-wise, I think that the Zelda games are probably worth more total, just like the Zelda collection is probably worth more. So I'd say I'd go with the Zelda collection. Not because of the money, but just because it's rarer and there are a lot more of them and things like that. So yeah, I'd go with that one.
Got one from Deanna McVie. Is it hard to have awesome content on all channels and not just be annoying and repetitive?
Yes, actually, it is. It is hard. Honestly, the thing is with like YouTube and having multiple channels, I keep trying to find direction. Like, I found direction with my main channel, my Telltale YouTube channel. The direction was geared toward cults and psychology and brainwashing and things like that. Like, that's kind of what I talk about on that channel. Pretty much exclusively. Sometimes I venture into, side subjects, but that's the focus. That's the direction for that channel. Now, the direction for my podcast channel is cult-related news and anything that I wouldn't want or that I feel I couldn't say on my main channel. I'm not afraid of talking about politics on my podcast for the most part. I mean, I think that my podcast audience is a lot smaller than my main channel's audience, and I'm okay with just speaking my mind. I'm not worried about dividing people off or if they're going to lose interest in me or whatever. This is my platform to say what I want to say, and that's it. It's just what I like talking about. And the retro channel is completely different from any other YouTube channel that I do. So I don't really worry too much about being repetitive on that one because there's no overlap between any of them. So the main channel is very directed and specific and planned out. The podcast is very off the cuff. I script the main one. I don't script the podcast.
Got one from Gray Youngwolf. I'm thinking about being an all-rounded YouTuber, but I'm busy doing other things. Is it advisable to be a YouTuber at all?
I just went on like a 10-minute rant about how YouTube sucks. All right, here's the thing. YouTube exists because of independent creators like me, like Holy Kool-Aid, Genetically Modified Skeptic, all those people. That's why it exists, because of people like us, Hugo and Jake and everybody. It's interesting and it draws people in because of us, right? And not just us, but all kinds of people. Philip DeFranco and a bunch of others. It exists because of us. And YouTube took one step down the wrong road, in my opinion, when they made it so that you can't earn money. You have to apply for their partner program, and you can't do it until you reach 1,000 subscribers and 240,000 watch minutes and things like that. That was one step down the wrong road. Honestly, up to that point in a YouTube career, 240,000 watch minutes, you probably aren't going to earn more than $20 anyways. It's such a small amount of money involved. But it discourages people from getting into it in the first place if they can't see that number go up just a little bit every single day. So that was one mistake, a pointless mistake. Why do that? You're just discouraging people from joining, and you're not hurting anybody but yourself. That was their first big mistake, in my opinion. YouTube's next big mistake was trying to alter the algorithm in any way to control what people say. I understand that there are some really, really extreme people. Louis Farrakhan, Alex Jones, people like that are really, really extreme. And if you all get together with like Apple and Facebook and everybody else and talk it through with them and agree, yeah, these people are really, really extreme and harmful and we don't want them on our platforms, I can understand why you'd want to pull them off. But they're trying to censor people that are just talking about normal stuff. Like, I'm not talking about any kind of crazy, like, conspiracy theories or anything here. But every time I talk about any kind of historical event or psychological techniques of any kind, I get censored. That's another big issue with YouTube. So the question is, should you even bother? Yeah, YouTube is full of fuck-ups right now. The leadership is full of fuck-ups. But I do still like the platform, and I like the idea behind it, even though the leadership is fuck-ups. So yeah, you should. You should still do it. If you work hard enough and you steer through the bullshit enough, then you'll be able to navigate your way through anyways, despite their efforts to crush independent creators in favor of mainstream sources. You should be able to. It's complicated, but you can do it.
Got one from Jesse D. Bernard. Would you advise anyone who may be liberal to talk to a conservative or vice versa in order for each other to get a better understanding of the ideologies?
Yes, 100%. I believe in discussion, always. Discussion is so important. If you're talking to an extremist, you are at the very least getting an idea of their belief system and maybe you can empathize with them and humanize them. That we have such a problem with dehumanization right now in this country, in this world. People just don't view other people as humans. That is one of our biggest issues right now, I believe. So yes, talk to them. Figure out that they're just like you. They just have a different way of viewing things, and figure out why they view it that way and find the flaws in it and point them out. Talk to them about it. That's how we make progress, in my opinion. So yes. I do want to touch on the super chats real quick. I've had a few. First was from Scarlet Stormbreaker, $2. Have more of my ramen noodle money. You didn't have to do that. I appreciate that, Scarlet Stormbreaker. Thank you. I got another from Abigail Diaz. Watchtower is totally the tower card of tarot. Keep up the good work, Telltale. Thank you, Abigail. That is awesome. I got one more super chat from somebody, Omega Riley, who happens to be my podcast moderator tonight. He says, I forgot to do this earlier, so here's $5. Thank you, Omega Riley. You are the shit. And I will reiterate, as I mentioned earlier in my video premiere earlier today, Omega Riley is my biggest fan. So thank you again, Omega Riley.